Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where you are. Thank you for joining our session, How We Created a Mentorship Program. My name is Tina Moni. I'm the Senior Advisor here at the International Organization of Employers based in Geneva, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Allow me now to set the scene here. Why are mentorship programs so important? Before going into the obvious benefits and advantages for both mentors and mentees, let me read out some interesting statistics which can explain a lot more than I can. Mentorship is one of the many enabling factors that contribute to women reaching leadership positions. 71% of Fortune 500 companies have mentorship programs. Of those with a mentor, 97% say they are valuable. Research has shown that 70% of small businesses that receive mentoring survive 5 years more, which is double the rate compared with non-mentored entrepreneurs. So that's a really interesting statistic. In a 5-year study of 1,000 employees by Gartner, for instance, 25% of employees who enrolled in a mentoring program had a salary increase. So that's really an added value for mentors and mentees. Mentees are promoted 5 times more than those not in a mentoring program. And listen to this, retention rates were not only higher for mentees, which is 22%, but it is also higher for mentors themselves, which is at 20%. So this is really interesting. According to Harvard Business Review, for CEOs in formal mentoring programs, 84% of CEOs said that mentors had helped them avoid costly mistakes. 84% become proficient in the roles much faster. 69% were making better business decisions. So there's a lot of added benefits for these mentorship programs. Research also shows that 89% of those who have been mentored will also go on to mentor others. So contributing to a culture of continuous learning and mentoring. Participants are more likely, 40% more likely to achieve their goals if they write them down. This increases to 70% if the goals are shared with someone to keep them accountable, such as a mentor. For mentors, particularly, it gives them a sense of purpose, empowerment in knowing that the sharing of experience and knowledge can help another woman or a man, a mentee's work performance, keep them more motivated, keep them more committed in their career progression. It gives them a sense of pride in helping women overcoming gendered barriers to progression. It also helps them to improve their own interviewing skills, their own active listening skills, and their problem-solving skills. And also enhances their CV, and it reinforces their own study and knowledge of the subject. And of course, for mentees, there are some clear benefits that we know of already. For instance, they receive feedback from someone who's impartial, someone who's objective, with a point of view that's very neutral. They learn what it takes to succeed in an organization, in the profession or the industry. It improves their specific skills, such as public speaking or negotiating skills, confidence building skills. And most importantly, it gives them access to a bigger professional network. So that means better opportunities for them to upskill themselves or to access new career opportunities. And it also gives a sounding board to bounce ideas off and to vent any frustrations if needed. So that's also another added benefit of being a mentee. Reverse mentoring also exists. You might have heard of this before, where the mentee can share a specific skill to the mentor. So it's reverse. And these skills could include things like speed reading, for instance. We've heard instances where mentors have learned from their mentees on specific topics, like such as blockchain development or any IT skills. So that way it could be a win-win process, a learning process for a win-win arrangement. Now, we don't need to be convinced further on the added value of mentorship programs. That is why my organization, the IOE, has launched this year a year-long program together in joint partnership with Deloitte and the European Union in efforts to help women in employee organizations in all regions to succeed and thrive. for our session today, we'll be focused on the how. So how do we create an effective and impactful mentorship program? I am joined here today by two distinguished guests. You would have seen their impressive biographies on the platform. I am pleased to welcome here Ms. Elif Tutum Tungish, Global Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Director for Signify, formerly known as Philips Lighting of the Netherlands. Welcome. And Mrs. Chinyonwe Inzewe, Group Treasurer of Flour Mills of Nigeria Private Limited Corporation and Chair of Flour Mills of Nigeria Women Network. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming. Now let's dive right into the questions. Both of your organizations have been participating in the Target Gender Equality Initiative of the UN Global Compact in Nigeria and the Netherlands, respectively, focusing on women's representation and leadership. Elif, can you tell us a bit more about Signify's gender equality targets, as well as the objectives of mentoring beyond borders? Over to you.
Thank you, Tina. Diverse representation in our organization is critical for our long-term success as a company. That's how we address it. That's how we see it, because we believe that it enables us, first of all, to understand, connect, and communicate better with all of our stakeholders, while at the same time helping us to attract and retain the best people who want to be part of our purpose to create brighter lives and a better world. If you look into lighting industry, we will see that it is predominantly men. And if you look into our organization, there we also recognize that we currently have a need to increase representation of women at all levels. With this ambition, we have publicly shared our aim to double the women in leadership in our business by 2025. And what we have done there is maybe a bit more differently than many other organizations, is that we integrated DE&I in our company strategy and sustainability program. So we positioned DE&I as a business imperative. And improving representation requires intentional approach and effort. Hence, we have been investing into different programs and tools to empower really inclusive talent development in the company. Attraction efforts is important, but at the same time, how we will mobilize and develop the existing talent in the company so we can have a better representation at each level. That was a focus area for us in the last couple of years. We have been intentionally working together with our management and with our HR colleagues.
Excellent. Thank you, Elif. It's really interesting to know that you actually work in a male-dominated company, and the fact that you have to put in the D&I integrated, it's as a business imperative. I think that's really key to make sure that the inclusion is taken care of. Now, Chinyonye, Flour Mills also has a strong focus on diversity and inclusion, which led to the establishment of the Women's Network that focuses on coaching and mentorship. Can you tell us a little bit more about this initiative?
Thanks, Tina. Thank you, first of all, for having me here. So Flour Mills of Nigeria is a leading food manufacturing company in Nigeria. It was incorporated in 1960. So we have, been feeding the nation for over 6 decades. When I joined the firm 4 years ago in 2018, it stood out that there were, the number of women at the top were quite few. And so the network, FMN Women Network, was created in December 2018. And key objectives for the network were to improve gender diversity, especially at management levels, to provide ongoing personal and career development for our women, to proactively manage gender-related workplace challenges, and to promote women in entrepreneurship. The mentorship program is a key initiative of the network, and it's been monitored very closely to ensure that both our mentees and our mentors are impacted positively.
Excellent. Thank you, Nyonya. That's an excellent overview of what you're doing. And it's true. It's there in many companies around the world. We're seeing that, there are not as many women at the top. And there's a saying that, it's quite lonely, in fact, to be at the top. So the more women that could be there, the more we can move the needle on gender equality. Right. So to the next question, I go to you, Chinyonya. Let's change a little bit in terms of who goes first. How did you get your efforts started, and what was the response from your workforce, and most importantly from your leadership? Was it received quite well? Did you collaborate with external organizations along the way?
Yeah, so I think we're very fortunate, I think, to get the full support of the board and the executive management. When I joined, it was quite clear that the company was committed to increasing advocacy for gender equality. And so we've got internal and external sponsors. Some of the external sponsors are female board members who provide guidance and coaching to the women in the network. So that shows a lot of commitment from the company. We've got about 100 women that have signed up for the program over the last 2 years. Last year, we saw an increase in that number. And apart from the one-on-one interactive sessions between mentees and mentors, we also organize quarterly mentoring sessions for all women on key topics like, mental health, which was quite key, in 2020. So we've talked about mental health, financial security, we talk about innovation, entrepreneurship, and feedback has been great. We have also collaborated with other women groups as well. An example is the collaboration with International Finance Corporation, in conjunction with the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It's a program called Nigeria to Equal. So the company Flamis of Nigeria PLC joined that program last year, and it was launched. We've also joined another women group called WIMBIS. This is Women in Management, Business and Politics. All these female groups are all committed to empowering women.
Excellent, thank you. It's really good to have this safe space where you can talk about, all the challenges like mental health and financial security, all the things that a lot of women face. And I think that's really important to have this peer-to-peer exchange of best practices and what has worked and what are the lessons learned, So I think that's really key. Just going back to you Chinyonya again, I think you're lucky in a sense that you've got the full support of the board, you have the, internal and external sponsors. But do you know, can you give hints to companies that you might not be ready yet? They're not at the stage of development where they're ready to actually, embrace, gender and gender equality and diversity. Do you have any examples on how to help companies who might have this kind of challenges?
Well, I think for us, we have that support, but I think you don't have to wait until you've got that support from the board. I think you have to take that step. The women in the company should actually come together, support each other. They can form groups. I don't think you have to wait until there is a network created. So the mentoring program we have now, we put in place 2 years ago. But before that, we did come together as a group, to support each other, share ideas. I don't think you've got to wait until you have the support. So when you do that and the company sees the positive changes, then you can then show, the company would definitely support, all the company wants is improved productivity. And you get that when women support each other. We have the studies that shows that when you do have more women in management or women on the boards, those companies actually perform better. So I would say, you don't have to wait. I think you just have to go on and support each other.
Exactly, and that's what our research has also been, we've been reading that, women, a more diverse board actually has an increase of 20% in patents compared to an all-men board company. So I think that's really interesting, and it's good that you said that don't wait for it to be formalized. Once management sees a positive change, I mean, it could start informally, right? Just baby steps before going into formalization.
Right.
Thank you, Chinyonye. Now over to you, Alif, with the same question again. How did your efforts get started, and what was the response from your leadership? And did you collaborate with other external organizations along the way?
In our organization, inclusive talent development was seen as a priority. You know, how we can keep up with all the challenges in the employment market and how we can continue to be the employer of choice. That was the first question that we were asking to ourselves, how we can continue to be a great place to work. And that question led us to the point, okay, let's review our tools of mechanisms in terms of how we develop colleagues internally. And there we followed a co-creation technique rather than sitting in HR, only in HR, and then building and designing an initiative. This time we collaborated with our colleagues. So we listened and we actively worked together with them on the design, how we can make things work for them, you know, how we can really serve their development in this organization and how that can help them to create a further sense of belonging. And those questions was really fundamental for us to find the main points, to design the differentiating points of our programs as well. And one of them was the mentoring beyond borders. And in this program, you can see is that this is a truly inclusive program. What I mean is that our mentoring platform is open to all of our colleagues in the company. Regardless of which function, which level, which location you are based in, you can be part of this program as a mentee. That is one of the differences, because in most of the organizations still today, mentoring is only serving to limited number of people, most of the time only a talent pool or a elite population in the organization. While we see that upskilling is a constant need for everyone, we don't want to limit the efforts there. That's why we make it inclusive. Another change, again, we brought into table, thanks to our colleagues actually, who helped us in the design to make this differentiation, is that anyone can be mentor as well. Because we believe that, yes, mentorship is mostly recognized as that, you know, it needs to come from a senior leader, but not necessarily, especially today, right? You can still hold a knowledge, skill, expertise, a fresh perspective, especially for today's challenges, for the future challenges, even if you would be not necessarily a mature, seasoned employee, right? So anyone can be mentored as well. Those were the main changes that we built in the design. And with this approach, that really helped us to gain a buy-in, not just from leaders, but also from colleagues as well. That's what we saw in the first year of the program already, with the high submission of the mentorships, high submission of the mentors, and etc. That's really helped us to meet the need, but also create something sustainable in the company.
Exactly. Thank you, Alif, for that. And I like the word that you use, a sense of belonging. You know, I think that's really important. And the fact that you didn't limit it to only a certain number of colleagues to access this program, I think that's really great. It shows an inclusive approach. And I think that's when I mentioned in the beginning, in the opening, in the scene setting, where it's reverse mentoring. So it can happen also organically, right? Alif, just going back to you again with regards to, you know, the sense of belonging that I was saying, that you mentioned, there's also a criticism, a very common criticism that, you know, we hear a lot about mentorship initiatives. They say that, you know, it's more of a networking club. It's, you know, just to get together. The link to supporting women's leadership isn't actually proven. Do you have any tracking of the impact of your initiative that contributes to progress of gender equality strategy? Are there specific KPIs that you are using?
I would argue with this criticism, first of all, because I think you also shared some figures, right, through the many research and business papers already, that it is confirming. Mentoring, first of all, is a need, because we are, as humans are social animals, let's call it that way. So social learning is a human need. That's not something made up, right? This is a human need. And that's why the research are also confirming this. And how we measure, Of course, we have some KPIs in place because our platform is running in an autonomous process and a tool as well that's enabling us to see the figures. So we can measure the engagement, so how many people are enrolling, from which functions, from which locations, from which levels, those kind of things that we are tracking in the pool. And also we are tracking the diversity of the pool. That's also we are trying to understand how we can keep the mentor pool and the overall mentorship pool diverse as much as possible to create more rich experiences to the people who are, you know, asking for mentorship support. That is one thing. Other thing, we are also measuring the effectiveness through the survey in the platform. So we are asking NPS, Net Promoter Score, to the mentees and also the mentors. And both of the KPIs are showing us a solid and strong reports in the last 2 years. Hence, we continue to move on. But of course, we are mindful on the one fact, right? There are things that you can easily measure, and there are things that you influence indirectly. So impact on sense of belonging, impact on overall engagement, impact on career development. Of course, we see the impact of the positive impact of mentoring, but we cannot say it is coming only from mentoring, because we also provide other tools of support to our colleagues. That's how I would position it. And maybe a small example, a small personal example that I can bring into table is that, you know, I learned how to drive a car at the age of 18. And after few formal classes, I was believing that I was ready to drive a car on my own in a heavy traffic. And I was living in Istanbul at those days. And then I was shocked when I was in my first heavy traffic experience. I was so afraid. I thought I will not be able to make it. I will not crack it. And then I started to, you know, drive together with my father, and he gave me a lot of confidence with his expertise. Of course, expertise coming from 30 years, right? Being in the traffic, he learned many tips and tricks, and he shared all of them with me. And all of them helped me to build a better confidence in myself, in my skill, and then I eased up. So I saw that benefit even in my personal life. And then I lived many other experiences in my professional life. So my question is that why I do need to, you know, walk alone, why I can build a kind of a support system who can help me to achieve my own objectives. This is how I position mentorship, my support system, to strengthen my skills and to make sure I can achieve my ambitions.
Thank you, Alif. Thank you for sharing that personal story. And it's true that we need to create our own support system. And that's very interesting, by the way. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Chinyonya, do you have any KPIs that you're using to track the progress?
Yes, I mean, we do. I mean, the mentorship program, I think, is just clear to just reiterate that it does not only connect our women, which is very, very important. It also increases knowledge sharing and enables mentees to build the skills required to advance to leadership positions. For the mentors, it increases confidence, that as you had mentioned earlier on, and makes them better leaders. All of this leads to increased productivity for the company. So what the network does to sort of measure the impact, we review via the human resources, we review the performance of our women across the group year on year through the mid-year or annual appraisals. This year, we've noticed, we've seen that positive change in our women. They support each other better, they collaborate more, and they are generally more confident. One of the goals of the network, like I mentioned earlier on, was to increase the share of women at management levels. We've seen an increase in women year on year. Another goal is to achieve gender balance in hiring. So our graduate training program, for instance, this year, we've been able to achieve close to 45%, and we've got 45% as females. This was somewhere in the single digits, right? So that's a huge improvement. And most of the girls we're recruiting we're talking about girls in sciences, engineering, tech. So very, very exciting, very, very exciting. We also have other initiatives that we're working on the network. We're working with our female distributors to sort of get insight from them and help them promote their business. We're also working with our female suppliers as well. We are implementing a gender sourcing procurement policy right now, and that's to increase the number of female suppliers in the firm. So all of these initiatives, we've got our women, working with the different business units to accomplish. So it's quite exciting.
Thank you, Chinonye. I think those are real practical, real results there, because when you see the number of women increasing year by year, that's a good result. That's a true indicator of your initiative. And I think both of you have actually answered my next question, which was, what role do you see men play in your mentorship initiative? Because I hear that, Alif, you talked about, a diversity of pool and the rich experiences, and, it's really important in terms of engagement. So both of you have answered that question. That is really important too. It's not a woman's issue, right? It's a societal issue as well, and men need to be part of that conversation in the policy making as well. So now we're running out of time, unfortunately. So I'll just ask you the last question on more of a practical question, really, because I'm sure some of our audience are asking, is there a specific budget dedicated to keeping the mentorship initiative alive, and who's responsible for driving the work? And just 2 or 3 points from you on what kind of advice you would provide to give someone who is thinking of designing a mentorship program, or how to strengthen their existing mentorship program. Perhaps Alif, you first. Go ahead.
In our company, HR is owning the platform. It's part of our overall HR offerings. While the first year design cost might be a thing that other organizations can consider, in our organization, we designed in-house as well. And our existing HR system also enabled it. So we don't necessarily need to put extra investments from that angle. And we try to build a platform which is an autonomous, a self-sufficient platform as much as possible. So it doesn't require additional matching from HR capacity, because in the pool, you see the pool of mentors, and as a mentee, you can enroll to any mentor that you would like to work and collaborate with it, and it's all automated. That really helped us in terms of the efficiency and make it sustainable for the future rounds of the program. And what we do more is on a regular basis is the communication, because you have a dynamic organization, right? Newcomers always into organization, or people moving into new challenges, and they might first time recognize that they need mentoring. So we keep it alive. We make it integrated in our all HR communications, from goal setting to the performance review, career development conversations. It's always reminded to colleagues that a mentoring is a tool. It is available to you, and here you can access. And also we constantly communicate with our mentor community, because they need also support and hand-holding, right? It's not a one-time effort. We regularly come together with them to try to guide them and train them, okay, how you can turn into a more effective mentor, how you can improve the efficiency and strengthen the relation with your mentee as well. So those kind of communication efforts more in the agenda of HR, but the process, when it is established, it doesn't require that much of maintenance.
Excellent. Thank you, Alif. I think that gives some sort of comfort. Yeah, was it the same for you as well?
Yes, I mean, we've got the support of the board and executive management. We've got a 5-year plan that's approved, and then an annual budget as well, just to ensure that we meet our objectives. But the program is sort of run between the network and with the support of the human resources. The chairperson, along with the executive committee members, are responsible for achieving those objectives. What's wonderful is that we've got the chief executive, who is obviously promoting gender diversity as well, and it's advocating for that. So that really helps. All the EXCO members all lead specific initiatives, and then they work with a team of other women to assist them. The whole idea is to get more women involved in achieving the objectives and get them involved in building those skills.
Thank you. Thank you, Yeah, that helps a lot. And I think we shouldn't be scared of having a huge budget for this. I think it's more of really coordination, communication, engagement, and having a sense of purpose to make sure that it's it's a message also from the leadership from the top, right? If the chief executive is also involved in the conversations on gender, it gives a strong, good political message. So thanks to both of you. Thank you very much for your responses and inputs to the discussion. We really appreciate your participation and time. I wish we had more time because it was starting to get interesting, but we only unfortunately have 30 minutes. So I hope the audience listening in can bring back these points and ideas back to your respective companies or your organizations and feed into your conversations at the strategic and operational levels. Mentorship programs certainly can be used as a tool to advance women empowerment principles and the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, can also complement the web gender gap analysis tool, which we know has been really useful in terms of moving the needle on gender empowerment. We hope this can help you to start thinking about designing a mentorship program or strengthen the existing one that you have. This is certainly an opportunity to be leveraged to advance women's leadership. So thank you very much. DIE and of course the UN Global Compact family are at your disposal. Should you be interested to get more information about these programs, we have a big network of like-minded companies such as yours. And I will now close this session with a quote from Maya Angelou. Women should be tough, tender, laugh as much as possible, and live long lives. The struggle for equality continues unabated, and the woman warrior who is armed with wit and courage will be among the first to celebrate victory. End quote. Thank you very much. All my very best and goodbye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.